evening. As you can tell by my lack of a sweatshirt and my band-aid on my forehead, I'm not your regular host of the PPFL Weekly Update and Weekly Wrap-Up. I'm actually Dick Manley. Richard Dragon's off this evening. He has a bad case of vaginitis, so I'll be filling in for him. I hope I do an okay job. We're going to start with the Swine Smokers at the OC Astar. The Swine Smokers went down hard and got smoked. A score of 110.6 to 142.3. And that 142.3 put the OC Astars at the big winner of the week. They had huge games from Joe Flacco, Adrian Peterson with over 200 yards, and Odell Beckham Jr. finally got some nice passes from Eli Manning. And the defense of the Bills also added another 22 points on top of that. Although they had a bad start with Eddie Lacy, who got them 0 points, the only player to actually make any difference for the Swine Smokers was Antonio Brown with 34.9 points, while Tyler Eifert and Calvin Johnson, of all people, only came in with a combined total of 10.7 points. So the big winner of this week is the OC Astars. Move on to the next game. Is the PC Police at the Knights Templar. The PC Police took it hard, and they weren't very PC about it. I believe they used some off-color comments to make a remark about the Knights Templar. They went down 86 points to 101.1, with a mediocre game as of late from Drew Brees at 19.2 and a mediocre 15.3 from Lamar Miller. The Knights Templar got really lucky that the PC Police didn't start. Got really lucky that the PC Police did not start Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger had over 41 points, whereas their other starting quarterback, who I don't even know because he didn't score that much, had only 16.6. If the PC Police would have started Ben Roethlisberger, they would have handily beat the Knights Templar by at least 10 points. Their only good showing was from Jonathan Stewart at 15.1 and Gronkowski at 24.3. Emmanuel Sanders and Jeremy Hill, only had a combined total of 2 points. 2 points. Never going to get you anywhere with just 2 points from 2 players. PC Police, if you had only started Ben Roethlisberger, you would have taken down the Knights Templar. For that, you get the If Only trophy. Heading on to the next matchup, we have the Bears at Niners Suck. The Bears got defeated at by 85.8 points to the Niners Suck at 104.7. Of course, the Bears have been leaning hard on Tom Brady all year long. He put up good numbers at 31.1 points, and the Steelers defense gave him another 18.6, but that was about it. Everybody else on his roster was a who's who of like Antonio Andrew, 0.8 points, and Robert Woods, 1.9 points. Again, I think we learned from the last matchup that if you get less than 2 points for a total of 2 players, you're not looking at a very good lineup. Maybe Pop's better look at picking up some better players if he's hoped to even make it to the playoffs. Niners Sucks finally got some decent numbers out of Eli Manning at 35.4 points, Eric Decker with 14.5, and Larry Fitzgerald, the comeback kid this year, at 18 points. Since Carson Palmer's been throwing to him this year, he's been putting up some staggering numbers. So keep a lookout for him, because the Niners Sucks is coming up in the rankings. There was no trophies awarded in that matchup because it was pretty much 2 old farts that nobody gave a about. Moving on to the next matchup, we have the Dorks Awaken at the Fear of the Dwarf Planet. Or Fear of the Dwarf. Actually, I believe they recently changed their name to No Fear. No one should fear the Dwarf Planet because they're sitting at the bottom with a record of 3-7. And so for that, they get the Lonely at the Bottom trophy. Martavius Bryant, with 26.8 points, and LaShawn McCoy with 20.9, and Mike Evans with 17.6 helped put the Dorks over the Dwarf Planet. The Dwarf Planet was strong with Cam Newton at 27.9, but LeGarrette Blount with 13.7, but Martellus Bennett 1.8, Tavon Austin at 2.3, and Big A.J. Green for the Cincinnati Bengals had 4.7. And that was only because Andy Dalton had a total of 7.8 points, losing the first game for the Bengals this year. Sorry, Dano. Your Cincinnati Bengals have to lose at least one game. I think it's necessary. The Miami Dolphins still paying for that. Anyways, we'll move on to the last but definitely the least scoring game of the week, and that was best on paper at the Antelope Postman. The Antelope Postman continue to roll this year, winning their 9th game of the season with 131.4 points to the abysmal 47.1 points by the best on paper. Best on paper is getting a shit ton of really, really bad trophies this week. They're getting I Got Screwed trophy, they're getting the Shittiest Team of the Week trophy, and they're getting the Humiliation Sucks trophy. It's humiliating to think that they thought they were going to get any kind of points from the old-ass Peyton Manning with his broke neck and now his frayed plantar fasciitis. He had a total of negative 10.6 points, 4 interceptions, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 interceptions, and he barely got 35 yards for the entire game. He needed just 4 yards to take over the total number of yards thrown in a career, and all he can muster was 35. The first 2 passes of the entire game were interceptions. It was horrible. I think Peyton needs to take a day off, week off, year off, maybe his life off, and just leave football once and for all on a semi-high note. Although I'm not playing, so maybe he's got something over me. Anyways, the Antelope Postman continued the roll with a nice showing by A-Rod at 31 points, and a late pickup last week with Jeremy Langford, who's the backup to Matt Forte, got 37.2 points. What a pickup, Antelope Postman. Doing great. And Josh Brown, their kicker, got 17 points. Oh, by the way, Steve Gostkowski from the New England Kicker, who is owned by the Best on Paper, was the only player in their entire team to get double digits at 12 points. I'm talking double positive digits, not double negative digits, Dana. Sorry, buddy. And with their 9th win of the season out of the 10 weeks we've had, that puts the Antelope Postman still high on top and getting your number 1 trophy. And that's this week's wrap-up for the PPFL. Week 10 is in the bag. Week 11 is coming up. And speaking of Week 11, we now have a 6-way tie. 6-way tie for 4th place. The Antelope Postmen are on top with a record of 9-1. The Orange County Astars and the Swine Smokers are tied for 2nd place with 7 wins and 3 losses. Where the PC Police, the Knights Templar, Best on Paper, the Dorks Awaken, Dub Bears, and Niners Suck are all tied for 4th place at 4-6 record. The No Fear of a Dwarf Planet is sitting at the bottom with 3-7. So if they're looking to score some points this week, and that's what it's going to be based on, is not wins anymore, probably going to be based on points, because there's not going to be a huge difference coming up in the next 3 weeks of the season. They gotta look to pick up some high risk but high reward players this week. Look for those deals and look for those waiver wires coming up, folks. And that's it for this week. Hope the vaginitis clears up and he gets that fungal infection taken care of. And Richard Dragon will be back next week. And just remember, PPFL, stay classy and go fuck yourself.